All right, guys, today we have more PlayStation news and information to go over and talk about. We have a lot of very interesting stuff to go over here today. So before we get into it, do me a big favor and hit that like button to help the video out and show it your support, and hit the subscribe button as well if you're new here to the channel. But we're starting here with a very significant update regarding something we talked about earlier this week, and that is the PlayStation 5 redesign that a lot of people seem to be misunderstanding why exactly this would happen, and it seems likely it's going to happen. So we're going to go over this information. It says a new report from Taiwanese business website Digitimes, courtesy of VGC, claims that a new PS5 redesign will begin production in 2022. The Digitimes report cites industry sources who claim that various suppliers, including foundry TSMC, who makes semiconductors, are planning to start production for the PS5 redesign between the second and third quarters of 2022. Analyst Dr. Serkan Toto says that Digitimes has a spotty track record, but further clarifies that the reports indicate Sony is expected to move to a, quote, new semi-customized 6nm CPU from AMD because, quote, 5nm is said to be too costly. Goes on to say that VGC notes that the redesign seems to be focused on the internal components and most likely won't make any big changes to the console's outer design or aesthetics. Those waiting on a PS5 Slim will probably have to hold out just a little bit longer. Sony has typically introduced the slimmer versions of its consoles around the 3-year interval. This is also not expected to be a PS5 Pro. Any potential Slim and Pro redesigns of the console aren't expected until the end of 2023 at the earliest, if they come at all. This particular redesign of the PS5 is most likely an effort to surpass component shortages that have made manufacturing and supply of the next-gen console and a number of other technologies difficult. Recent comments from Sony indicated that they could potentially issue a redesigned PS5 to help overcome these shortages and meet the high demand, and it seems like the company could be moving forward with those plans. How the redesign may affect the console's performance, either positively or negatively, is unknown. So this is fairly significant, mainly because it seems, one, it is going to happen, and two, we do not know how much this is actually going to affect the PlayStation 5. I mean, it seems likely to me that it's not really going to change anything except the fact that there should end up being more PlayStation 5s available once this goes into effect. I mean, the redesign might be so subtle that no one's even going to notice. I highly doubt that Sony's going to do anything that's going to affect overall performance or the specifications of the console. We could maybe see a slight redesign to an extent, maybe just a slightly slimmer profile, something like that, but I think that this is something we're going to have to keep an eye on, and I would let everybody know that if you are nervous at all, like, should I buy a PS5 now if I have the opportunity? Is this going to be a better version of it? I mean, no, I don't think it's going to be anything like that. Again, this seems to be to just not only cut costs, but mainly to make sure that they can try to continue to manufacture as many PS5s as possible. I highly doubt Sony would go through with something like this internally with the PS5 if there was going to be any negative effect on performance or anything like that. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, and again, it seems like it is going to happen. It is interesting to me that, you know, we first went over this because Sony themselves said that this is something they may have to consider to kind of overcome the supply issue, and now we're hearing reports that, you know, it may be something that Sony already put into effect, and by 2022 we're going to see that kind of roll out. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do wonder what Sony's plans are in the long run for like a slim version of the PlayStation 5. Maybe that's what this could be. I doubt it, but you never know. I mean, it's a very small change, it seems, so I doubt you're going to get anything like that. As for PS5 Pro, it's anybody's guess if Sony has any intention on doing something like that. I don't think they'll need to, but you never know, right? You never know. So there you go. That's the update we have on the PlayStation 5 redesign. I will be sure to keep you guys updated when we learn anything else about it. But we're moving on from that and talking briefly about Resident Evil Village. This is a game that I know a lot of people are very excited for, and a lot of people are going to be picking it up on the next-gen consoles. And in my opinion, the best way to play this game is easily going to be on the PlayStation 5. Not because of resolution or because of frame rate. We know that those things are locked in pretty much. We know that the game's going to look and run great on whatever console you choose to get it on, but mainly because of the other features that this game is taking advantage of when it comes to the PlayStation 5. It's worth noting this is a third-party AAA multi-platform title. Yes, it is aligned with PlayStation when it comes to marketing, but still, it's always great, in my opinion, as a PlayStation 5 owner to see developers really going above and beyond to utilize these features that we've talked about extensively, such as the fast load times. You're seeing Resident Evil Village hit load times of less than 2 seconds. And I put out a tweet here. I said Resident Evil Village features some really impressive load times on PS5. On PS5, it's basically instant with a brief fade to black. On the Xbox Series X, it's about 8 to 9 seconds, and you do have to press A to continue. So it's nice to see the PS5 SSD doing work, that and the DualSense implementation. Again, the DualSense, in my opinion, is a game changer. It's easily, I think, the most next-gen thing, as crazy as that sounds, when it comes to my experience with the PlayStation 5. I mean, you always knew the visuals were going to be top-notch, right? But the way that developers are utilizing the DualSense, it really does make a significant difference. And then on top of that, I'm hearing that the Tempest 3D audio is being utilized in a big way with Resident Evil Village. I've actually had somebody tell me that they've played it on both the Series X and the PS5 with their headphones, and that they noticed a pretty significant difference on the PlayStation 5 version. So I just wanted to take a moment here to let you guys know that we are continuing to see AAA, third-party developers really leveraging these advantages, in my opinion. I'm going to call them advantages because that's what they are, in my opinion. And I think that anybody who has used the PlayStation 5 and experienced the DualSense, experienced 3D audio, and experienced those instantaneous load times, you'll know that they are tangible advantages. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're somebody who does prefer a slight advantage when it comes to frame rate, or in other cases resolution, that's understandable as well. But I just love to see this because I always appreciated the fact that Sony tried to do a little bit more with the PS5 than just better resolution, better frame rates, the highest frame rates, the highest resolutions. They tried to find different, more unique and interesting ways to get you more immersed into the game. And I think it's just so awesome to see that done with a big game like Resident Evil Village. But now we're going to talk about something very significant that went under the radar, and that is the fact that Bend Studio has officially confirmed on their Twitter that they are in the process of creating a new AAA IP for the PlayStation 5. This is something we talked about somewhat extensively in the past few weeks because there was all of this conversation surrounding Bend Studio and what they're going to be doing next. And we had the Bloomberg report that was saying Days Gone 2 is not happening. And we have to understand that up until this point, it was just a rumor that Bend Studio was given the green light by Sony to make another new AAA IP for the PlayStation 5. For all we know, that may not have been true, and they could have been a support studio, right? But now we do know, we do have the official confirmation over on their Twitter yesterday. They tweeted this. They said, Bend Studio is hiring. Take a look at our current open positions and join our team in creating the next AAA game. So very subtle, but make no mistake, they are confirming that yes, they did get the green light to make this big AAA game that I'm very excited about. Obviously, I was one of the people that would have loved to have seen Days Gone 2, but I don't really see it as that big of a deal if they're not going to be doing that, right? I actually think it's even more exciting to think about what this new IP could be. They're going to take everything that they did with Days Gone, all of that experience they have now from creating that game, and apply that to their next game, and it's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and it could be anything. And that is incredibly exciting to me. So they have a lot of positions here that they're still hiring for. And that is the only downside to this, if there's any. It's the fact that this is very, very early on. I mean, the game's probably still in pre-production. They're probably still just trying to figure out what exactly they want to make. And it will be years, honestly, before we end up seeing this game. But you know what? All that put aside, I'm glad that they came out here and officially confirmed this because they didn't have to. And they knew what they were doing. Make no mistake. They knew what they were doing, but they're not yelling it from the rooftops because they don't want people to get too hyped yet. You know, when games are this early in production, everything's up in the air, right? Everything's up in the air, and all of these different parts are moving and trying to come together, and, you know, things can go south very quickly. But I thought that this was very significant, and I wanted to let everybody know that if you were worried about Bend Studio or you were wondering what's going on with them, we now have official confirmation that they are working on their next AAA game. So very exciting stuff. It's going to be very exciting to learn about what they do next. But I'm going to end this video by just updating everybody on the Returnal patch situation, because yesterday they released a patch that caused a lot of issues for a lot of players. So the original story reads, Returnal patch 1.3.3 launched earlier today on PlayStation 5, promising a number of bug fixes and improvements. However, following the update's release, some players have been hit with game-breaking save data issues. Thankfully, developer Housemarque is already on the case. Patch 1.3.3 has since been pulled from PSN, meaning that if you don't already have it installed, you won't be able to download it. And Housemarque said that they were in the process of fixing it and apologized, obviously. So we have an update here, and it says overnight patch 1.3.4 for Returnal went live, which promises to fix the save-related issues the previous update introduced. So just update your game to the latest version. The patch is roughly 1 GB in size, and your progress will be a-okay. Plus, you can enjoy the various bug fixes that 1.3.3 was intended to remedy. Now, I don't believe if you lost your game data, like if you lost your save data, if it wasn't backed up on the cloud, I don't think you're going to be able to get that back. So that is quite unfortunate. And I want to talk about this for a minute here. I might get a little bit ranty because I have seen a lot of people, in my opinion, overreacting big time about this. Now, look, is this a good thing? No, this is a bad situation, and it does not make Housemarque or Returnal look good. And if you are somebody whose data was deleted and you just lost hours and hours and hours of playtime, obviously you have every right to be angry, frustrated, and maybe, you know, to even vent a little bit. But I've seen people really just going in hard when it comes to Housemarque and Returnal for this, and people actually comparing it to Cyberpunk 2077 and the way that game launched. And I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think the two are even remotely comparable. I think it's laughable that anybody would even try to compare those two. The last time I checked, Returnal is a very competent game that if you boot it up, even with, you know, just day one version, you know, unpatched on disc, you're going to have pretty much a completely finished game. You may run into a few bugs here and there, but nothing major. The same simply cannot be said for Cyberpunk. And it's sad because, again, this is a situation where you see people trying to create a mountain from a molehill, and I think it's unfortunate. We do need to give our feedback to Housemarque to let them know, like, guys, you can't let stuff like this happen. This is a $70 AAA title that you're selling here. You know, we would like to have perfection day one. We know that that's not possible because video game development is a very difficult thing, and we all expect a few bugs, but you know, it's a botched patch and it's been fixed, and it's unfortunate that some people had to experience some very negative ramifications because of it, but it's just insane to me that some people actually come out here and try that hard to make a game like this, which is a very good game, which is, I think, the thing that people need to pay, you know, attention to here. It's a very good game, and it's far from broken, and they're just doing everything in their power to try to make it look really, really bad. And I just think that's kind of sad. So I'm glad to see that this has been taken care of. And yeah, so that's pretty much going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.